Hi guys, we'll continue there. And what I like to do is not right away, but sometimes when you go back, you can take a highlighter. I have one on hand. I should have this all set up, but here we have a highlighter. And you can go through and pick out some themes for yourself, and certainly you can then start parsing some bullets. I don't know, you're all familiar with, if you've worked in an office at all, you've done PowerPoint presentations. We're all familiar with these PowerPoint presentations, but so you can go through and you can start to outline some of the things that you want to maybe think about, or oftentimes I'll do some research online, or I'll go through and I'll write some brief things in my journal, or do some drawings, or excuse me, not my journal, my day timer, and some themes, and then pick out some themes that are relevant, that you want to think about or you want to go forward with. And certainly the theme with this from Friday, and I'm still kind of working on, is this whole idea that women are mentally ill that report domestic violence. And certainly I'm going to outline this because all these people that I considered friends are, through my ex-husband mostly, but, a wife does, make sure that she respects her, they'll tell you, oh, make sure, with your husband's friends. And certainly this whole idea of back in the day of how to be, a good wife, every decade or every generation has this idea of, what makes a good wife? What does a woman do? And I mean, the institution is pretty old, so it hasn't changed that much. So some of these themes we carry forward. And certainly, being nice to your husband's friends is one of those. So they all called me mentally ill and a whore. Okay, and then the theme was that I was a prostitute, which was completely shocking, and I went into shock. And what I'd like to impress upon you, excuse me, is also with trauma, you're dealing with this shock. So this trauma was unleashed, and I'm trying to navigate a contentious, complex, horrible divorce in the midst of being in shock. And I liken the shock, looking back now at that 5 years, because I'm pretty much out of it now for the most part. I mean, I still can be triggered. I still have to be careful because anywhere I go things remind me of my old life. But it feels like a buffer between you and everything else. I liken it to like a library file cabinet where people have just taken the file cards and just put them on a table, and scattered them, and you're trying to file them back into a file cabinet and you can't kind of put them together. You can see them. And basically too, with what I was dealing with was all these lies, because it's also like, say you were, I likened it, you jumped in a dark alley and you end up in intensive care, and people have to go through what happened to you. Oh, you were in an accident. This is what happened to you. This is your life. Well, what these people did is I woke up, metaphorically and in intensive care, and they're telling me, oh yeah, didn't you know you didn't accomplish anything your whole life? You've been a prostitute your whole life. You had nothing, excuse me, this is who you are. And it was very shocking. So I had to put these things together. And what the shock does, these lies, what it does is it prevents you right away. It's like a buffer, because you can't incorporate this new reality is so overwhelming. It's so alien to who you are that it takes time to incorporate this stuff into your life. And it took a good 5 years for me, which is really blows my mind at this point. But you're just kind of buffered around. You're kind of like, it's like the shocks on your car. It prevents you from really being hit with that stuff. So you're just kind of like in this sort of fuzzy place, which is not mental illness. I'm sure it could lead to that because I had panic attacks. There was a lot of anxiety, and I'm sure it can move into that direction. But thank God I was able to overcome that. And for the first time today, I feel like a survivor, that I actually say, yes, I'm a survivor. And congratulations to all the survivors out there. Many don't make it, and I applaud you today because I know how horrible it is to try and survive, and it really was for me, and I'm so glad to be in a much better place now after all this. So the theme of that was these people just attacking you with this stuff repeatedly, and you're at the worst place in your life imaginable. You can't imagine that people that you loved and cared about, this is what was going on with them. So that's one of the sort of a collective theme, because we see this often when women report. It's always right away, you're crazy. And most of the time, if a woman challenges a man or she says something, she's crazy anyway. I mean, I can't, the number of times I would try to talk to my ex-husband, certainly towards the end, about what was going on. I was like, oh, well, what's your problem? Why do you have all these problems? What's wrong with you? And it started as soon as I got married too. The neighbors would say things, his friends would say things, oh, that's crazy. It starts out like joking, but it gets more and more serious as time goes on, because they had ulterior motives. They had an agenda. So that's one of the themes that I would pick out. So then I would just go through and I highlight it. So I have, I wrote, excuse me, you can do little drawings. I have a little drawing here that I would start, and then my little flower pattern that I like to do. And then you can just go through and highlight some themes, and then you can explore that theme for the next day, or you can think about it, or you can journal, take magazines. Sometimes I used to love to cut up magazines. And different things to put with that. And one of them that I really love is, I have another one here, this Bella Grace, which is a lovely magazine, and it has writing prompts, and we can go through some of that. But this is a lovely magazine. They're a little pricey. I don't buy them all the time, but I'll buy them once in a while to treat myself, because you need to be doing that as a survivor. So we can go through some of that. But so that gives you a little idea of what I do. And that's a big theme for me to work on right now. I'm just amazed, the research I'm doing, that women so often find themselves in these horrible situations, and then they go and they try to talk to these agencies or a lawyer or the judge or these various people, and they're just treated as if they're, mentally ill people that don't know what they're talking about. And certainly if you're, an accomplished professional and you have all these assets, and certainly in my case, I was in shock and I had this trauma going because of what had happened to me before, and my ex-husband knew that. So people use this kind of stuff to put you put you in this place where you can't effectively defend yourself. So we can start writing on that too, because that is part of the Me Too movement too. So that would be one of the themes that I would put on here. Let's see, and it's usually the victims that bring this stuff forward. We see a lot with these lawsuits. It's not usually the people in these agencies that step forward and say, we need to change this. It's usually the victims. So I'll stop there. I'm going over a little bit. Be safe, guys.